entertaining out of the three kind of title games we talk about. And the last one, but the last one has some potential here, right? It's the SEC championship game, Alabama and Florida. And Joe, I'd be remiss
Oh
if
my
before
God.
we get into this,
No, no,
if
no,
we
no, no,
didn't.
no, 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 no. Clemson Notre Dame is not going to be entertaining. Alabama Florida is going to be entertaining because they are the two best offenses in the country.
By entertaining, I mean close. I could see the Alabama game being a blowout. It's more feasible than Clemson Notre Dame is what I meant. But
I don't give
anyway,
a crap. Okay?
yes, it will be a
I don't
track
give
meet.
a
It will be an absolute track meet.
I don't give a flying rat's ass what you think is going to be closer. Alabama and Florida are the two best offenses I've seen in a long time, other than,
That's fair.
LSU.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Like,
So
okay,
anyway, on that, whatever I said, this game could have the potential to be crazy. A one-score track meet. At its best, at its worst, you see Alabama run them off the field in the second quarter.
yeah.
But Joe, before we get into this, we have to mention, right? Florida, they're no longer a shoo-in for the playoff. I stole that line from Ryan Eisner. Sorry for the cleat pun, but they have a shocking loss at the Swamp, 37-34. Joe, just give me your take on what went down there. Shout out Marco Wilson, man. Like, that was brutal. Talk about that and just tell me how you think they can respond and how they should respond going into this huge SEC title game with their playoff hopes potentially crushed.
Yeah, they should respond as if they want to win, which they do, okay? Like, end your season with at least an SEC championship. I mean, your playoff hopes are gone, so you won't get the national championship, but you could still win one of the best conferences in NCAA football. So, with that being said, I mean, if they did win, that'd be great because screw Alabama. I just hate Alabama and Notre Dame. They suck. They suck because they're so good, and they never give other schools a chance at the playoffs.
You got anything to say about how Marco Wilson? Do you have
Was he
anything
the
you need
guy
to
that
say
did
about
the?
it? I feel like you've got something under
Did
your
he
chest
throw
right
the
now.
shoe 20 yards?
Yes, yep.
It was
Yep.
Marco. Oh.
It was 3rd and 7. They got to stop, and my man decided to pull someone's shoe off and throw it 20 yards and get it in sportsmanlike.
It was uncalled for. You shouldn't be throwing someone's shoes unless it's for fun. But I feel like they were just trying to run out the clock at some point or something. Because I mean, I didn't watch the game because
it was a tie game, right? And it's 3rd and 7. And Wilson gets attacked. It was an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
And so it would have been 4th, and they would have gotten a punt in a tie game. And instead, he throws the shoe 20 yards, and he gets an unsportsmanlike penalty.
Yeah. Automatic first. I didn't watch the game because I thought Florida was, going to win because it was LSU who just sucked this year. But, yeah, it was a dumb thing to do. You should never – just don't throw someone's shoe in general. I mean, 20 yards is impressive, but, just don't do it.
Yeah, I think it was maybe one of the most irresponsibly stupid plays I've ever seen. And granted, right, it's a college football player. He's hyped up, makes a big stop, thinks they're going to go to the SEC championship game with their playoff hopes intact. But that was completely and utterly idiotic. Like, you have to have the discipline, especially I think he's a junior, especially as a junior who's played multiple years to recognize, right, I don't need to do this. I think Florida fans are going to have this. It's going to be like that Cubs fan who caught the home run that was in play. It's going to be like that, like the Steve Bartman. He is their Steve Bartman. And I feel for him personally because he's probably getting a lot of hate. I'm sure he's a good kid, but that was one of the most idiotic plays I have ever seen. And you can't blame the Florida kicker for missing the game-time field goal from 50 plus when you would have never been in that position had your corner not thrown the shoe.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But, yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say. That's the reason they lost. And,
yeah.
he should be kicked off the team, but he should be, take that guy's scholarship away.
I'm not going to advocate for
I'm
that. I think he's a
kidding.
phenomenal
I'm
player.
kidding. Do it.
But I will say, Joe, now moving into this Alabama game, right? This is going to be a track meet. And the only way Florida wins this game is if they somehow manage to stop Mac Jones and that machine that has been unstoppable in recent weeks. In their last five, they're low put is 41 points. They beat Arkansas 52-3 last week. They beat LSU 55-17 the previous week. Auburn in the Iron Bowl 42-13. They put up 63 on Kentucky, and then they shut out Mississippi State 41-0. So, Joe, the biggest question here is, right, this is a Florida defense that hasn't been the best ever, especially the secondary. And the question I have to ask is, how do you see, like, if you are the defensive coordinator, you're under Dan Mullen, you're trying to figure this out, how are you going to stop Mac Jones? Or not stop him, but slow down that machine enough so Trask can pull you ahead?
Uh, way number one is win the coin toss.
And that's fair.
Score
and then never not score.
Yeah. Number two is have because if you're looking at quarterbacks, who would you say is better, Mac Jones or Kyle Trask?
I think that's really close, actually, but I'd say Trask because
Trask is awesome. Trask needs.
I would say Trask personally.
Yeah, Mac Jones looks like a girl with Trevor Lawrence's hair, so
I don't think that's relevant, but okay.
It's not relevant, but it just needs to be brought up more,
Okay.
But Kyle Trask is one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now. One of the best.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's better than Trevor Lawrence.
Don't worry, I'm not questioning you on it.
But I am.
Okay.
Not really, but I am. But I'm not. But yeah, he can definitely pick apart that Alabama defense, in my opinion. Because he's so good. Now the question is, if he doesn't, what happens then? Then he loses. So there's only one way to win, and that's just to, score first and never stop scoring.
I think that it's actually going to have to go along most of those lines, but I'll give a little more nuance to it. I think if you're Florida, the biggest thing you have to do is get to Mac Jones as much as possible and pressure him because, right, your secondary isn't going to stop Devontae Smith and all of the talent that they have on Alabama's team in Mechie and everyone else. But if you can get your pass rush to break through that O-line, minimize the dual threat nature of the run game with Najee Harris, maybe you turn Jones into a one-dimensional quarterback. So, right, Mac Jones, he isn't immobile, but he's not going to gash you for 100 yards on the ground. So if you can keep him bottled up, maybe get to him a few times, keep him under pressure, make him rush a few passes, and that Florida pass rush isn't bad, you maybe have a chance. But, right, the key here is making sure they can't get anything on the ground or near the O-line. And that's going to be really, really difficult, especially with the way Najee Harris is playing. He's got 1,084 yards and 22 touchdowns in 10 games. Like, he's averaging over 100 yards a game, surefire NFL player. But, yeah, no, it would have to – you can't count on your secondary to pick Jones off without pressuring him repeatedly. So I'd say you have to score a lot of points, obviously, and then on the other end of the ball, your pass rushes just have to be super confusing for Jones in a big game. And maybe in that case, you catch them off guard enough to win. But look, I think that the line is pretty large for a reason, and it's because Alabama has made really good teams like A&M look ordinary. I could see a scenario where Alabama wins this game by 10 points.